After Rimuru flew away, those who remained on the scene swiftly moved into action. Benimaru began handing out appropriate instructions, leveraging his grasp of the battlefield. At the same time, he sent out thought communications to the top brass over in the city, asking them to go into emergency mode at once. So he dispatched his replications far and wide to gather information. And Diablo, most of all, was absolutely beside himself with excitement. Kahahaha. Did you see it, everyone? Sir Rimuru is finally going to show us his true colors. Xian rolled her eyes at him. You fool. Sir Rimuru is always showing his true colors, no matter the situation. Leave the excitement for later. We must concentrate on crushing our enemies. It was an odd way of putting it, but Xian was right on the money. Diablo was understandably surprised to see Rimuru on the rampage for the first time, but now was not the time for that. As Benimaru declared, it was their role as Rimuru's top soldiers to handle the extraneous distractions. That was the edict from Rimuru, and for his underlings, his word was gospel. For the demons summoned by Rimuru, this was a supreme pleasure. Their faces were full of joy, and they all bristled with strength, as if answering the call for service. It was obvious from their demeanor how eagerly they had been waiting for the call to come. Rimuru, demonstrating the sheer depth of his anger, was about to unleash his fearsome powers of destruction. The order he gave was simple enough. Kill all our enemies. With this command, the demons were burning to set off on their mission. As our lord wishes. The fearless demons were now ready to throw themselves into battle for the sake of their lord. But, wait. A single word from Diablo made all the demons focus their attention on him. He raised one hand to put them at ease. Kahahaha. Do you understand Sir Rimuru's order? He stated that not even one of you may die. Know that death would be a mortal sin, one that would be unforgivable, even if we all offered our heads to him. Diablo's resonant declaration silenced the demons. His smile instilled more fear than reassurance in them. And again, it was totally irrefutable. Silently, the demons waited for further instructions. It was Benimaru who spoke first. I'd say Diablo is right. You may be immortal, but don't you dare take solace in that. Such hair-splitting is no excuse against Sir Rimuru. Just because they could be resurrected after some time was no reason for them to die. Benimaru wanted to make sure that was clear to the demons. They grew quiet, realizing the error in their assumptions. So, Diablo said, we are going to assign you roles. Sir Benimaru, can you handle that for me? What about you? Benimaru asked, wondering if Diablo would be willing to do what he asked of him. Oh, leave me out of it, if you could. There's a certain rat I'm interested in, so I'm going to deal with him first. Benimaru shrugged at the reply. He figured Diablo would say something like that, and he was right. I see. Well, do whatever you like, then. Diablo, the way Benimaru understood it, was not to be bothered. The demon answered directly to Rimuru, so not even Benimaru had the authority to order him around. But Diablo had entrusted him with the job, so Benimaru began giving out orders. All right. Diablo, you are hereby free to go. Moss will continue to send me information from the battlefield, as before. You may travel anywhere on the battlefield you like, as long as you keep Sir Rimuru's order in mind. Diablo nodded, smiling, as Moss voiced his agreement. His replications were already scattered across the field, and his thought communication gave him a live, real-time connection to Benimaru's mind. You better not exclude me, Xian indignantly stated. She had access to spatial transport, but could only teleport to locations she could physically see. She wasn't very good at calculating the required coordinates otherwise. Benimaru gave this a small chuckle as he nodded. Of course not. We'll be counting on your strength in battle. I sense 8 notable presences on the airship, not including Emperor Lador. They might be a little tough, but it won't be as reckless a battle as Sir Rimuru's. Even without Diablo, we should be able to hold our own. The battlefield will be rather tricky as well, warned Zoe. 30,000 enemy reinforcements are streaming onto the scene. Benimaru was aware of this, of course. I know. That's why it's a race against time. I've ordered Gabble to stall for as long as he can, so we have to bring the Emperor into custody before anyone gets killed. Zoe and Xian nodded at Benimaru's bold words. These were Rimuru's orders, and Benimaru had no other choice. He needed to fulfill his wishes with all his might, and so he had drawn up a plan he believed was the best. On the battlefield, their primary objective was to bide time as they struck at the airship, the biggest menace here. This, they decided, would help prevent an attack on the city. Incidentally, the 8 presences mentioned by Benimaru consisted of a Valgrand replication left as insurance, and the single digits gathered on the airship. These were Lieutenant Kondo, Damrata, the 4 knights guarding the Emperor, and finally Marco. None of them were hiding their presence, so Benimaru's unique skill-born leader was able to detect them. Suddenly, Benimaru received some good news. Gul just contacted me. His evolution is complete, so he's woken up. Gul the Barrier Lord had awakened, and in response, all of his men were beginning to open their eyes as well. Soon, they would join the defense of the city. That's very good news. As Sir Geld is joining the city defense, we should be able to relieve the Diablo Chevaliers of that duty. Can I put them under my command? We don't have access to Venom, so we can't engage in any full group maneuvers. I will let each of you make your own decisions, depending on the war situation. Understood. So, after a brief exchange, everyone had their roles. All that remained now was to trust in their victory, but there was one more thing to consider. Now, are you all able to fight? Benimaru was addressing Tensura and her friends. He wasn't going to quibble about this. He just needed to know whether they could be expected to serve in battle. Kahahaha. No need to ask them. If anyone answered no to that question, I would kick them out of the force. Diablo turned his attention to the demonesses. They stood up, not requiring any further pressure from him. What a foolish question. There is nothing Diablo can do that I can't. It sounds a little harsh, but I don't have a problem with it. I like to fight, after all. If I'm gonna live up to your expectations, I can't afford to make another mistake. Now is no time for rest. The trio was united in their desire to serve Sir Rimuru. The same went for their own servants. All the demons were rapidly completing their evolution, and it was with the greatest of joy that they received the orders they were waiting for. As of that moment, Tensura, Ultima, and Carrera, like Diablo, had evolved into Devil Lords. This made them virtual demigods, among the strongest in the world, capable of defeating even a demon peer without much fuss. This meant that all 7 primals had become the same rank of being, with no restrictions placed upon them. Just as Diablo's servant Venom became a demon peer, those serving under the 3 demonesses received similar evolutions. Moss and Varen remained demon peers, but their magicule count increased to the point where they were comparable to awakened demon lords. The other 4 Ager, Esprit, Zonda, and Cien had reached a level as demon peers that surpassed even budding demon lords. In both name and reality, they had evolved to the highest level of demondom. They were all the same rank now, but there were clear differences in their abilities. These differences were reflected in the noble titles they were given. Moss was now a Grand Duke, comparable to King. Varen was classified as a Duke, Ager as a Marquis, Esprit as a Count, and Cien and Zonda as Viscounts. Venom was also recognized as a Baron. Among the others, there were several brand new archdemons post-evolution. They would serve as commanders, the equivalent of knights, and they would need to spend many more years working to attain a noble rank. The remainder of the group, nearly 600 strong, would become Diablo Chevaliers, comparable to high-level magic born. They were stronger, they were evolved, and thus they could be more helpful to Rimuru than ever. The demons demonstrated their willingness to join the battle. Benimaru nodded at them, satisfied. Very good. Let's see what you can do, then. The 3 demonesses and their armies were hurriedly asked to join the airship assault. It was an order Benimaru gave without hesitation, as if he meant to do so from the beginning. Well then, Lady Tensura. I need you to clean up the trash for me. Can you do it? Yes, of course. A simple task. Wait a minute. I want to do that. I can handle it too, you know. Benimaru had given Tensura the order, but Ultima intervened. He didn't let it faze him. I don't care which of you does it, but please keep the airship intact. It needs to serve as the battlefield where we'll settle our differences with Emperor Lidor. Kahahaha. Ultima, I asked Sir Benimaru to assign you roles. If you disagree with them, you are going against my will. Consider that before you speak. Ultima was lucky that Diablo was in an excellent mood. Normally, that comment would have merited punishment for her. This time, all he gave was a little admonishment. Tisk. Well, too bad. I guess I'm not all that suited for it anyway. I'll follow Sir Benimaru's instructions. Ultima realized immediately after she said it that her mouth was getting her in trouble. So, relieved that there were no further consequences, she gladly put the matter behind her. Her youthful innocence occasionally led to mistakes like this, but even she had a good knack for reading the situation. Let's continue, Benimaru said, handing out roles to the remaining members. First, Tensura took over the task of eliminating the knights guarding the Emperor's flagship. Following that, Benimaru went over who would charge in behind her. He mentioned 4 names: Xion, Zoe, Ultima, and Carrera, and he would naturally be joining them as well. Emperor Lidor is unlikely to make any moves. If he does, all we have to do is hit him hard. Instead, we must focus on defeating Velgrin's separate body and the other 7 single digits. If so, we're going to be outnumbered. But oh well. I will take care of 2 of them. Or 3, even. Benimaru quieted Xion down before she took on any more tasks. Wait a minute, Xion. You're right, but it's not a good idea to take work away from other people. He then turned his attention to Varen and the others, waiting for assignments with hopeful expressions on their faces. Listen, he said, you can never let your guard down. We will attack with maximum force, using only the numbers we need. You can expect to be put to work, Lady Tensura. I should hope so. Tensura smiled. She didn't say it out loud like Ultima, but if Benimaru ordered her to stay back, she would have been extremely unhappy. Let's keep 100 guards on duty to make sure no one escapes the airship. I want the remaining 500 Diablo chevaliers to support Gabble and his team. But who should command them? I think Xian would be the right person for the job. He knows Moss well and is gifted at handling such chores. Xian looked up when his name was called. His eyes teared up a bit, perhaps out of joy at Tensura deigning to remember he existed. All right. Xian, get moving at once. Yes, sir. He immediately sprang into action, leaving his own army of 100 and flying off with everyone else in tow. It was thanks to his quick action that Gabble and his army would later be spared total destruction.